there, my name is Carmel Hauck. My student number is T00701793. This is my clinic mentor Roberta, and then my other clinic mentor Brenda is just a bit out of frame there. So we have a spay on the table today. We are going to do our microchip and then our prep on her today. So to begin, I have my surgery gear on. I have my cap and mask and a prep scrub coat on, which I'll be taking off later. So before we microchip, we want to turn on our scanner. And then we're going to make sure she doesn't already have a chip before we put another one in. So you want to check almost everywhere just because microchips can migrate. So you want to go down onto the chest as well. Make sure to check the scapulas. Just gently lift her up and check the other scapula there. And she doesn't have one in her. So then we could also check our microchip in here. So it scanned it and it is the right one that's on the number. I did pre-confirm that beforehand, but we'll do it one more time. That is the proper chip inside. So now we are going to microchip her. So you want to grab basically a tent into her scruff, and then you want to insert the needle at about a 45-degree angle into the skin. And then you just want to make sure that your needle's actually sub-Q. And then you're going to squeeze down on your plunger, and while you are still squeezing, squeeze the skin and keep it held for a couple seconds. And then we are going to scan that area and make sure that there is a chip inside. So it has already scanned. So we're just going to advise the owners that they want to avoid any activity for the next 24 to 48 hours. Don't put a harness on that area or rub roughly. So now we are going to prep her for her spay. So I'm going to have my clinic mentor help me put her into dorsal here. Excellent. So to begin our clip, we're going to go with the fur, and then we're going to switch to go against it. So for spays, you want to find essentially her umbilicus. So you come from her sternum, it's about 1 to 2 inches down typically. You'll find her umbilicus, and then we're going to shave all the way to the pubis, and then about 1 to 2 on either side of her nipples as well. So I have found her up here. We're going to start with her clip. So we're going to go midline with the fur. I just have a garbage can at my feet here. So I kind of just am doing 1 clipper blade length down her midline, and then 1 on either side of the nipples as well. And now we can go against the fur and tidy it up, especially along our midline where our incision will be. And then we want to just kind of square off as well to make it look neat and tidy for the owner. So I'm just alternating going with and against the fur to get a close shave. And then this side I'm going to go down as well, square out. And she has pretty short fur, but along the edges here is where you would kind of taper or thin out the fur just so that it doesn't end up in our surgical field. And her fur kind of grows in all directions, so with this really short stuff, I'm just going to keep changing my clipper blade for where the fur is growing. Make sure not to slice any nipples. So you just want to pull the skin taut in these super sensitive areas to avoid clipper burn or lacerations. So we're just about there. I'm just finishing up the last couple of details. And we're cleaning up our fur as we go so that we don't have anything while we're scrubbing. Okay, so I'm fairly happy with my clip. So now I'm going to get the vacuum from my clinic mentor, and we're going to do a vacuum of her quickly. I'm just going to lay that vacuum on the floor there, and then we're going to do our final lint roll, just to get any stray furs that the vacuum might have missed. Okay, so now we are going to do a general clean. So I have Chlorhex and water soaked gauze in here. And at this point, it doesn't matter how you clean, you just want to get her nice and scrubbed. So we'll do a couple of these. I'm not getting much dirt off on my gauze, so we won't have to do too many. So I'll leave this one as my last scrub here, and then I'm going to go take off my lab coat, and I'm going to wash my hands with the same solution I'm using on her, so the Chlorhex, and then my clinic mentors will monitor her while I'm washing my hands. Okay, so I've just finished washing my hands, and now we're going to do our final surgical prep on her. So I have my chlorhexidine soaked gauze. We're going to do 3 surgical scrubs. So starting along her midline, we are going to scrub the midline incision, and then keeping clean to clean, dirty to dirty, we're going to do our target technique around the midline. So we're going to do this a total of 3 times. So again, it's my clean to clean, dirty to dirty target technique around the midline incision. And then this will be our final surgical prep. So now we're going to do our final paint. To do that, we're going to use forceps and an alcohol gauze. So I'm just going to pinch my gauze in my forceps and douse it with alcohol. And then we're going to do our final. And same thing, we're going to do the target technique in a circle, keeping clean to clean, dirty to dirty. now we are going to use our quadrant drape. So we just want to open it onto a sterile surface. So I have my mayo stand here. So this is our transfer drape. So we are going to pick it up, and then it will unfold, and we are just going to lay it onto her. And now our scrub is protected while we transfer her, and that'll be our next videos. Okay, so we have our transfer drape on. Brenda's going to turn her off of gas and oxygen, and then take the line off for me so that I can pick her up and move to surgery. All right, so we're going to position her here and get all of her monitoring hooked up. So I'm going to start with her fluids. Excellent. Then I'm going to switch over onto the other side here, and we're going to start to tie her in. So we've got, we're going to put her pulse ox back on her. She's back on our anesthetic machine. And then she's sitting in a V-trough with some padding underneath her too to help stabilize and hold her for surgery. Roberta just hooked up that Doppler back again for me. And I'm going to tie her legs in. Roberta's going to do a back leg for me just to get this going. So we're just tying in all of her limbs for surgery. And then our final limb. All right, so now all of her limbs are tied in, all of her monitoring is on, so we're going to remove the transfer drape. So to do that, we just grab the far side, pull it up, and then we're just gonna drop it on the floor, and then we're gonna do our final paint while we're in here. So again, we have our alcohol, sorry. So I'm just soaking my gauze with alcohol in my sterile forceps. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go down the midline and then keeping clean to clean, dirty to dirty. We're just going to rotate our forceps around in that target technique. And then in our practice, we use betadine for our final prep. So we just do an even spray of the surgical area. And now she is fully prepped to be draped, and our DVM is going to drape today. Okay, so now we are done our space. We're going to take all of the drapes off of our patient and then clean. So we have our forceps, our towel clamps as well that we'll take off. And then we'll take off our quadrant drapes. Okay, so we've taken all of her drapes off, and now we're going to clean her up. So I have my peroxide here, and then I just have some wet gauze. So we're just going to be very gentle when we're cleaning the area since she has a fresh surgical incision there. So you just want to gently start by wiping off any of the betadine that we have on her. The betadine does stain the skin a little bit, so we like to try to clean them off before they go home so that the owner isn't worried about the color. And at this point, we do still have her monitoring equipment going. Just tidy her up. You don't want to use too much of the peroxide because you don't want to make her cold or irritate her skin at all. And she has just a tiny bit of dried blood along her incision, so I'm just going to very gingerly work that away. I think I'm just going to do one final clean up at the top here. Alright, so that is her abdomen cleaned after surgery, and now we are going to wake her up.